Hello, and welcome back to Warped, the completely unnecessary Star Trek podcast where we provide live audio commentary tracks to Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. My name is Matt.
I'm Shawn.
I'm Jake.
Erin.
Minh. I was sorry. I was
You have to go at the end.
You forgot your you forgot the order there.
Forgot the order.
You're back at the bottom now.
I was waiting to go to the last, and then there was a pause.
Yeah.
I was right.
Yeah, no, he was right. Minh messed it up.
So
Okay.
places, everyone, places.
We're watching Star Trek Season 3, Episode 10, The Defector. It's about Romulans, you guys.
Yep.
Yay, my people.
Second Romulan episode in like the last 3-4 weeks.
Yeah. And they talk about the old, they talk about the episode from
our buddy Ambassador Kamalak is back, or whatever.
Yeah.
Admiral
Kamalak.
is
I have
back.
no idea what you're
That's a
talking
good
about.
name. I like the name.
You might recognize him when you see him.
Okay.
Shawn, punch triangle.
I got 45 minutes and 49 seconds on the clock, and I'm punching the triangle in 3, 2, 1, punch.
Ambassador Kamalak. I love these ridiculous names.
They look like there's a,
It's so cool.
it's a Ren Fair.
It's
outskirts.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
They're doing. Data is trying to learn about the human condition, as he always does, and by studying Shakespeare and performing Shakespeare. So here comes Data. He's playing Henry V. This is the scene from Henry V where Henry is in disguise and walks among his troops in disguise, so he can get a sense of what they're thinking. Yeah, he's undercover. He's undercover bossing. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Were you in this scene, Minh, when you did Henry V?
I don't even remember.
I like Data
Come
on cover.
I like Data. The idea of Data being undercover anywhere.
With his skin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
with his
Look
skin
at that
pretty.
bowl cut. Oh my gosh.
He went authentic.
Oh my god.
And that's Patrick Stewart
Yeah, right there.
in the crazy
sure.
makeup.
Yeah. Well, he has so much Shakespeare experience. He must have been like,
He goes for it,
please.
too. Then.
Wait. But then he's also Patrick Stewart or Captain
Yes,
Picard.
Picard is also in the scene.
That's hilarious.
How did they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's the miracle of television.
I
think
want
they
you to
used
tell
the
me.
transporters in a clever way.
It's the Prestige. They made a clone of Patrick Stewart, and they're gonna kill him afterwards.
Fucking Nolan.
Patrick
I-
Stewart in this scene in the Shakespeare part of it is doing some real crazy accent work. Like it's really funny.
Now I want to hear it with the sound. I want you guys to tell me that this guy with the mustachio is actually Riker,
I thought it was at first.
right?
No, it's also Patrick Stewart.
Awesome.
He's
That's
got it.
playing Riker, playing this guy.
But
Yeah.
his facial hair is wrong.
I can tell that he's doing something with his accent just from the way his jaw moves.
Yeah.
Facial.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
This is
Splendid.
great.
I love how he likes his own performance.
I was great in that scene.
Man, I was so good.
This is actually a really good scene.
This
And they come back to this idea again and again over the course of
Rana.
the show. Data is always like putting on shows for the rest of the crew. Beverly is into theater, so she becomes like she directs plays sometimes on the show. They're all a bunch of theater nerds in outer space, basically.
Mhm.
that works. It's like you guys.
Relatable.
What? No.
Oh man, don't you hate when like your theater is interrupted by an unidentified craft from the neutral zone?
Yeah.
Classic.
Classic. It's like when the Honda in the parking lot is like its alarm is going off, and you have to like tell somebody in the audience to take care of it.
It's like when your parents drive back and you're in the middle of jerking it and you're like, oh, fuck, what did they come back for?
Why did they put that ridiculous fucking wig on? That was terrible.
It's like a monk wig.
It was low effort.
I like this little moment where Data's like, maybe I should put on a show for the whole crew, and Picard's like, maybe hold off on that for a little while. Like,
You're not ready for prime.
your acting is not quite there yet.
Yeah, and that was unscripted. So you know,
Picard
that
is a harsh critic. Like he doesn't
come
like
on.
just anybody acting.
He has roots in it.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, he's a man of culture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He has strong opinions about art.
Lobster outfit.
I wonder what Worf would have thought of Patrick Stewart in that makeup. Racist. That was Klingon.
Worf likes Klingon opera. I don't know if he's into Shakespeare.
Oh,
he does like Klingon opera.
When do we get a taste of Klingon opera?
I forget, but they talk about it every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about it every once in a while on the show that the Klingons have like a very strong opera culture.
Do they ever try to depict it, or no? It's just
I can't remember if we ever actually see it. Some super nerd, actually wrote a real world
Klingon opera language.
Klingon.
Yeah. Oh my god!
It's kind of awkward that you said that because he's here now, and he's going to be our special. But he seems hurt.
Yeah.
Yoinks! You could have told us beforehand, Phillipe.
He said "Aklakbang" and he left. I don't know what that means. I think it's fair.
Oh, he just told us off.
I think so. I mean, nobody knows. Only he could tell us.
It's so good to have you back for a little bit, Phillipe, I have to say.
Apparently, it's called...
let go for a little.
The Klingon opera is called Ooh.
Of course it is.
How do you know that's how you're supposed to pronounce it?
Because it says with a glottal stop on either side of
it. It should be called glottal stop.
There you go.
Glottal
it has a Wikipedia page and everything. Like,
wow.
It's a comic opera. It's like a coming up.
That's cool, I guess.
It was composed by Eve von Breen to a libretto by Kees Lichtenstein. And it was directed by Thora Schoenfeld.
Okay, so it's German.
Netherlands. These are Dutch people.
Erin sounds totally over it, because it's not
She's
Romulan.
got that growing nervousness because she's waiting for us to suggest it as a potential future podcast episode.
Yeah.
No,
maybe we should all go see a Klingon opera together. That'd be fun.
I was thinking
the first show we go see.
Play together.
I prefer Shapiro or Kolnak, one of the two other options that Data suggested as studying for the human condition.
Yeah, they did a 2 reels and a fake.
Yeah,
they were like making up fake people. But
could you imagine if they had randomly thrown in Kardashian, because that would be more realistic.
Kardashian or Cardassian?
I know. I thought it'd be fun if they almost got there.
Yeah, shoulder pads.
There he is.
I was going to say
shoulder pads.
I was going to say Vulcan, but it's Romulan. It's just they're close.
Yeah, they're
very
sisters.
close.
They're cousins.
Identical cousins.
They are identical cousins.
Yeah.
I don't even know what is there an official term for identical cousins? I don't think so. I don't think there's any such thing. Although I did read about like someone who had randomly met a person who looked exactly like them, and just I don't think they were even necessarily related.
Can happen.
It can happen.
They weren't related?
No, I don't think so.
I really want to do a racist joke.
Because there is that movie. There's that movie about the three
who were separated. Sure.
Who were separated at birth, and they didn't find out about each other until one day one of them was walking around on campus at university, and people kept calling him another name, and he was like, "Why does everybody keep calling me Dave? My name is Jim." And then he found out that Dave was his twin brother he didn't know about, who was also on campus.
Jesus.
And then there was a third one, it turned out, too.
Oh, my God.
What happened?
And they were all dating the same woman.
Named Lisa.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. And she's like, sometimes you're
Asian.
Like this, and I like you, and sometimes you're a jerk, and sometimes you're just...
What is
it's like, you're real all over the place, personality-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is Miles not in this episode? They've got somebody else doing the transporter this week. You can tell he's a one-time extra because he's still wearing the old outfit. Like they don't.
They didn't make a new one.
But he is Asian.
Yeah, they don't give the upgraded uniforms to the day players on this show.
They used from the previous show. Yeah,
it's the season 1 with the stripies.
But that would be like, if you realize the history of that, I think I would be proud. I'd be like, oh yeah, this has been worn by Riker or whomever,
Right.
Extra number 3 on episode such and such.
Sure. It's got extra room in the crotch.
I like that shot of the conference room. I thought that was a good shot. The way it's just kind of like
panned around
the room like that. It's like, oh, the director's got his game on this week. Like he's ready to play.
Except for the focus on Riker.
Yeah, it's a little bit soft.
Yeah.
I want to see
this Romulan is famous, isn't he?
This guy, I don't know who this guy is.
in Romulus.
The character or the actor?
The actor.
The actor. He's a sort of that guy.
That guy.
You've seen him in things. I'm trying to think. He goes on to do a lot more Star Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Star Trek's a good gig because they like to bring people back in different kinds of aliens or whatever. So
he was in just about every television show from the 70s through the 90s.
That makes sense.
Nice.
At least one episode.
Picard is this is a good Picard episode. He gets to do
It makes a perfect square on the screen.
Yeah, I know, right?
That was amazingly geometric formation.
Space picture on the wall.
Space painting. Yep.
Yeah.
Picard gets to do a lot of like speechifying in this one. It's a good one.
And
we didn't play the IMDb game because we were talking.
We did not.
We are.
What's the Erin? What do you think the IMDb rating is for this
seems
episode?
like a good episode. I'll give it a 7.2.
I think that's too high. Too high.
No, I think it's way too low. This is a really good episode. I think this is.
I feel like
I think this is an 8. I think this is an 8.2.
Get out of here. No.
Jake, Kay, did you watch these?
May.
We watched them. 7.8 is my guess.
6.8. I'm gonna say 6.8.
May.
She withholds. She withholds her guess.
She usually says 7.
7.
8.5.
Oh,
yeah,
whoa!
Wow,
that's a really good episode.
It's a popular episode. It's good.
Bravo.
It's good. Popular for a reason. It's a good episode.
That's a good reason. Oh, no.
I stayed awake the entire time I was watching it. That's how good the episode is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one actually has stakes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, they do a good. Whenever the Romulans are on, it's generally a pretty good episode because
bump. I gotta factor in the Romulan bump.
They actually have something to say about the Romulans.
Because it's all of these sort of like Cold War, analogies and parallels that they're doing. So it's and the Romulans are such schemers that it's always like trying to figure out. It's always our gang trying to figure out like what the Romulans are really up to. Like this week, what's happening, Erin, is that this guy has come to the Enterprise and is claiming to be a defector from the Romulans, and he's asking for asylum.
He looks like he's getting like Dr. Pimple Popper over here.
Okay, that's
yeah.
But the problem, as always, with the Romulans is whether or not you can believe them. So Picard doesn't really believe this guy when he says that he wants to defect. He thinks it might be some sort of plot because Romulans are plotters, And now they're talking about what just happened in the last Romulan episode from a few weeks ago. So they are doing a rare like
ambassador.
Cool that.
Yeah, Ambassador Tomalak, he shows up later in the episode.
I do have to say, like, he does play up the questionable vibe,
Well, they all do. That's the Romulan way.
That's their style. They're all very sneaky and suspicious.
Which is interesting because Erin isn't like that. She gets under the radar, She's like, you just feel like she's nice, she's caring.
Maybe I need my own alien space race label.
This is everyone should
wearing shoulder pads all the time.
Everyone needs to drink. We just got a big dose of spacism. The Romulans and the Klingons. The Romulan guy was just insulting Worf. Calling him a dumb Klingon. So everybody drank for the spacism.
Nice. I did.
You know, the last time I got hammered, I think, was perhaps with you guys. That's too bad. Yeah. In a few months, we'll be right back there wishing we were back here, not being hammered.
Well, speaking of which, would anybody be interested in some correction corner?
Hell yeah.
I haven't done correction corner in a long time. Jake, play the jingle. Correction corner. These are corrections for episodes 110 and 111, The Naked Now and Code of Honor. And the reason I'm doing these together is because we recorded these episodes on March 15th of 2020. It was the last time that we were together in the studio.
Of March.
Wow. Yep, it was March 15th. It was the last time we were all together, and it was also weirdly the first appearance of the possums. It's the first time. It's the first time that Erin mentions that she thinks there are possums under the house.
Yay!
So it's been a whole year since we first started talking about the possums in Erin's house.
It's like the rats leaving the ship. They were the canaries. I don't know. Just you can go on.
No, I want to really dig into that. Like, they're the rats leaving the ships. They're the canaries.
It's like they were finding shelter, and they realized they would be at Erin's place, and then we got into the whole pandemic.
But the canary in a coal mine metaphor, that's not the right metaphor.
No?
Because none of the possums died.
The canary in a coal mine is the canary dies. That's how you know it's not safe to go in the coal mine.
Already possums. They're making them two other animals.
I like it. I like all of it.
What about the rats? Does the rats work? That
would make a little more sense.
A sinking ship.
Yeah.
But you were saying they were taking shelter knowing that there was some storm coming.
Yeah. And it sounds like they were successful.
Because they felt that Erin would be most amenable to them staying.
I mean, I think every animal in that neighborhood knows has Erin's place on their mental map.
It's just like it's been scented. The whole property is just full of animals.
I'm pretty sure if you could sense things the way animals do, Erin's house is just like a bright yellow spot on a map of blue. And it's like, that's where we all go.
It's the oasis.
Right.
When the shit goes down, we all gather here.
Yeah.
Head to Dr. Doolittle's house.
It's kind of where the salmon go to spawn.
Yeah.
Well, they successfully did. They're new possums, aren't there? They're little baby possums.
Seems like there might be.
Yeah. Congratulations, guys. Grandparents.
Semi-human.
So it's been a year. Since we first started hearing about the possums. Erin,
what a year.
We talked, and it's also one of the last times Phillipe has been on the show. So it's just a weird coincidence that you're back for the week that was kind of one of the last times you were on, I think.
I've been in sort of a hibernation since then. Has anything happened in the last year?
Nah, it's been pretty mellow, actually. It's been chill.
I think you meant high burn nation.
No,
we talked about how good.
Not that at all.
I talked about how good the ship looks. You know, we did that thing where they show the beauty shot of the ship at the beginning, and we were talking about what a great looking ship it is, and how the original Enterprise was a great looking ship too. And Erin said, I would really need to see them both side by side to really judge the two. So I just posted a picture in the chat for you, Erin.
Ooh.
You can see the two ships sort of side by side. The original Enterprise is a lot more angular, and the Enterprise D is very swoopy.
I have to say, I'm an original fan. I like that boxy look.
Like OG?
Yeah.
I kind of too. I mean, I definitely like the other one, the Next Generation ship, more for a while. But now that I've
older,
I'm back to appreciating the original.
Mm-hmm.
Something just more straightforward about it that I kind of like.
Yeah.
The one is a very sharper image catalog.
I think the D looks like something you would see in underwater. It looks like a squid or an octopus. It has like a manta ray kind of a vibe to it. It looks like more of an organic thing than the original ship, which looks, very much like a machine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Cadillac.
I think my favorite version of the ship is the movie Enterprise, like the Star Trek II sort of era Enterprise, which is sort of the old school ship, but with a
cleaner looks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the really original one really has sort of like almost it's almost 50s or even predates it, kind of like that space thing. With those really thin bridge, the way the nacelles are connected to the body is like it's so like thin, just like I don't know. It's very like.
And also how pronounced the nacelles are. They're almost like the fins on a classic car.
All right, what's a nacelle? What are we?
the engines, essentially.
Those cigar things that are off of the
pointy things at the back.
Wings.
The batteries that operate the vibrator.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
Ding 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 ding.
That's what it would say.
Minh, this isn't really a correction, but Minh, do you love John Krasinski? Because you bring him up a lot, weirdly.
Really interesting. I don't think I love John. I think he has interesting range and he's done some cool stuff, but I wouldn't say I love John Krasinski.
This week we were talking about how Riker goes from being beardless to naked now. You guys will, I'm sure recall, is the second episode of this show ever. So it's very early. Riker doesn't have his beard yet, and we were talking about how Riker really improves once he gets the beard. He just looks better bearded. Yeah. And you, Minh, said, oh, yeah, it's like when John Krasinski went from being on The Office to then bulking up and getting all beardy.
Doing action movies.
It just reminded me of the fact that you talk about John Krasinski a lot. And I was just wondering if that was if he was like one of your dudes or something.
No, I like one of my dudes is Matthew McConaughey, and I like Matthew McConaughey a lot. He's super cool, just done a lot of awesome roles and just been really cool and interesting and funny and different with them, But yeah, I wouldn't, not John K. I don't even watch The Office.
I don't know. I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're just troubled by what it could be.
Yeah.
Serial killer? Maybe.
The Naked Now was a sequel to an old school episode called The Naked Time. And Naked Now was written by DC Fontana. And we wondered if she had also written the original episode from back in the 60s. She didn't. That episode was written by someone named John D.F. Black, who was one of the regular writers on the old show. So it was not DC Fontana who wrote both of those. We talked about whether we would see a COVID-19 bump in our listenership because people would be trapped at home with nothing else to do.
Well,
we were predicting, it was March 15th, so we were already we sort of knew that was going to be the last time we were all going to be doing it for at least a little while. And we talked about if we would see a COVID-19 bump. We did not. Just
well, we did have there were bumps transitioning to recording non-locally.
Yeah, that's not what I meant when I said a COVID-19 bump. I meant like a listener numbers bump because we speculated that people would not have anything else to do, trapped at home, so they would be listening to more podcasts. So we said, well, maybe we'll get a bump.
About that part, but we did not. We did not just know that they would choose to do nothing.
No, what happened was they didn't start listening to more podcasts; they started making their own podcasts.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. We got more competition.
Well,
that's
to be
private.
fair. That the early times of the pandemic were a bit rocky and uncertain, and I think that threw off my listening as well for the things I know.
I've been listening to less podcasts since quarantine.
I think because
I listen on the commute.
People aren't commuting, and that's when people listen to podcasts is when they're in their cars, right?
I agree.
Yeah. But once people start commuting again, we'll be here for you guys.
Maybe we'll get a post COVID-19.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna bet on it. I'm not going to Vegas with that.
Airline or a cruise stock. We're waiting to go up on that.
I'm just waiting for some kind of bump. I don't know where it's going to come from. But Shawn in episode 110 said that Naked Now was the last time that the stardate had 2 digits at the end, like 0.12 instead of 0.6 or whatever. But then in the very next episode, Code of Honor, they did a 2-digit star.
Oh, Shawn's a liar.
Shawn.
And we called it out at the time, but I'm just calling it out
again.
IMDb did me wrong.
Yeah.
But it is true that they don't really do that ever after that. After that, it just becomes a single digit.
Daddy was just a little early. It happens.
Premature again.
Happens.
We were doing Pour One Out for the Homies, and we talked. Kirk Douglas had just died, and we were talking about the fact that he was sort of one of the last people from that era.
Yeah,
he was 100, and so there aren't that many people left from that generation. So I looked up. On oldest.org, there is a page for oldest living actors.
Heard of this?
Norman Lloyd, who was in a bunch of Hitchcock movies in the 40s, he's 106, and is still alive.
Oh my gosh.
And then after him, it's like people like Betty White, who's 99. Dick Van Dyke and Angela Lansbury are both 95, so there's a few people sort of from that generation still.
That same generation, yeah.
But his level of stardom, I would say.
Yeah, he was way more famous.
And Olivia de Havilland, who died.
Yeah.
Not long ago.
Of the huge movie star.
Yeah.
Sure, of that time.
He was pretty much the last one in that category. Minh said, "What about Martin Sheen?"
Strange comment, man.
And we all made fun of him because we all knew that Martin was much younger than Kirk Douglas. Martin Sheen, I said 20 years. He's actually 24 years younger than Kirk Douglas was.
But he's, he's the next generation.
Shawn said Kirk Douglas made movies in the 30s. I said he was famous in the 40s. His first movie was actually in 46.
Oh,
so no movies in the 30s.
You're really raking Shawn over the coals today.
On fire that day.
I just report the facts.
You just sprouting any lie you can think.
Hey, that's
Phillipe talked about a movie.
I learned from our president.
Phillipe talked about a movie he loves called The Bold and the Beautiful. That's not. It's called The Bad and the Beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Bold and the Beautiful was a soap opera on television.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was The Bad and the Beautiful?
It was 1952. It's a movie about Hollywood. I think he plays like a producer or a director. It's one of those behind the scenes Sunset Boulevard-y kind of Hollywood movies.
Is Tony Curtis in that one? Who's in that one?
I don't know who else is in it besides Kirk Douglas.
Oh, Kirk Douglas is in it.
Yeah, we had just seen it.
Like, talking about
that's
Kirk.
why I mentioned
I feel like Lana Turner's in that one, or is that a different one I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
And Kirk Douglas is different from Kurt Douglas, right?
No one. There is no one named
Kurt Douglas.
Kurt Russell. I'm thinking Kurt.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
Very different.
This is why.
But those two are
America's hottest new game show. I swear to God, is going to be figure out who Minh's talking about.
Minh, my brain works the same way. I could not think of Kurt Russell's name all week, and I was waiting for it to just pop in. I don't like to look it up. I like for organically it to happen. But thank you, because it was bugging me. And then when we started talking about Kirk Douglas, I was like, "Ooh, it's close. It's something like that." I'm getting closer.
Worst,
but it makes no sense. It makes no sense when I think about it. How do I connect those two?
I do the same thing, though. It makes absolute sense.
They both
they live in the same realm. Both actors with similar names.
They both you filed them.
The names are not that similar.
For names,
you filed them
similar-ish.
Okay,
no.
Well,
your mind like you two once said, your mind moves in mysterious ways.
Yeah, I'm with you, and thank you, because I was watching a movie with a young movie with Kurt Russell, and I was like, what is that guy's name? He dates Goldie Hawn. I'm like trying to work through it, and I could only get Kirk Douglas, and I was like, that's not it.
Were you watching the computer that wore tennis shoes?
It was something that they were featuring on Turner Classic Movie. They were showing stuff with him. I think they're kind of maybe showing some of his stuff.
Never even heard that movie.
He was a kid, like teenage star.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of Disney live action stuff.
Mm. Anyway, thank you.
So anyway, that movie is called The Bad and the Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We talked about how tall. We said Jonathan Frakes must be tall because he's pretty tall when he stands next to people.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. His, at least according to the internet, he is 6'3".
Yeah, you can tell. Michael Dorn seems tall too.
Code of Honor was the episode where the sort of African coded aliens have the where the girl has to fight with Tasha to the death, and it's like famously like a really racist episode. My note here is just this episode made us racist. Like,
apologies.
Just the way
it was probably me.
Just the way we were talking about how racist the episode was made us sound bad. I was like, we might have to delete this episode. I don't know. We talked about putting brewer's yeast on your popcorn.
Oh, hell yeah.
And Erin said, I should try that again because I haven't tried it since I was in college or whatever.
I've been doing it every day since then.
My question was, that was what I was going to ask was, did you start putting brewer's yeast on your popcorn again?
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Now I'm doing brewer's yeast and a little bit of ranch powder combo. It's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Matt, I thought you were going to say something else, and now I'm just imagining you guys putting brewer's yeast on your something else.
That would be a bad idea, at least for me.
Do you think so? Because it's yeast, right? It's actual yeast. Yeah. That's the don't.
Wait, I must have asked this before, but what does brewer's yeast add to it? Is it like a saltiness?
Umami, right?
Yeah, it has a saltiness to it.
It's flavor, but it's called sometimes nutritional yeast, so it adds a lot of B vitamins. It's actually beneficial too. On top of being tasty. It's just like and the flaky texture kind of lends itself to putting on.
It's kind of it's kind of like a mild, salty flavor that has like an earthiness to it. It's good.
Yeah,
it's a little Parmesan cheesy. I feel like.
Yeah, but like. Yeah, look at the back, and there's all these like B vitamins and other things in it. It's
earthiness is such a weird word to describe a flavor, because when I think earthy, I think dirt, And
but think about mushrooms. You're a vegetarian.
Oh, sure, yeah, I love
a lot of mushrooms.
I think you like nutritional yeast, Minh.
Yeah.
I'm just get it at the regular grocery store. It's not expensive. Mm-hmm. You can just get a little shaky can of it. Try it.
I mean, it's $100 an ounce. But it's completely worth it.
I know we're in the middle of Correction Corner, but I just want to point out that like John Luke is really Patrick Stewart is so good in this episode. Like
he's composed.
Oh yeah,
he's really nailing this scene where he's talking to the defector and trying to figure out if he should believe him or not. Patrick Stewart's just a hell of. I watched this last night with Stan, and we both were just like, God damn, Patrick Stewart is such a good actor. Like.
But the Romulan is also killing it too, so he gives Patrick Stewart a lot to work with.
Yeah, they're both very good.
Mm-hmm. This is awesome.
I just think Patrick Stewart is really, really crushes it in this episode. We were talking about Saturday Night Live movies, and we were talking about. I said my favorite was The Superstar, the Mary Catherine Gallagher movie, and as we all know, Erin's favorite is Corky Romano. So I just wanted to remind everybody that we had, in fact, talked about maybe watching one of those movies the next time we watch a movie. So I know we talk a lot about what movies we could be watching, but
put them on the list.
So Corky Romano it is, you guys. Done and done.
I actually have Superstar somewhere, or I used to, on DVD. There's a moment in Code of Honor where everyone else is down on the planet watching Tasha fight that girl in that like gymnasium scene. Erin, do you remember what I'm talking about? Do you remember an episode where Tasha the short blonde-headed lady who died in season 1.
Thank you. Yeah.
She has to fight down on a planet with like a weird like gymnasium 80s kind of vibe.
Yes.
That's the episode we're talking about right now.
Can you describe it in more detail? When
they all go down to the planet, Wesley is alone on the bridge, like, and we were all laughing about how like is there no one between the senior bridge crew and Wesley in the chain of command? Like, does it go Picard, Riker, Data, Wesley? Because no one else was on the ship. And Jake said there must be at least 300 other people on the ship. There's apparently the Enterprise has a regular crew of 1,400 people.
1,400,
and they can hold up to 6,000.
That's just the crew, right? That doesn't include relatives or
tourists and what else.
Sometimes they have to do evacuations. They can hold up to 6,000. So there were lots of other people who could have been left in charge, but they let Wesley do it.
Yeah. Everyone was watching the fight.
Yeah.
Everyone was down on the planet watching Tasha fight.
It was pay-per-view. You don't want to miss it.
I mean, you also have to think like of those 1,400, like a lot of them are support services. Like a good 100 of those is just like the circus.
Yeah,
the barber.
The backup circus in case the first circus too close to some tachyons.
There is a barber on the ship. We'll see him one of these days.
What sort of circus do you think they have on Star Trek? Is it Cirque du Soleil or is it like more Barnum and Bailey?
It's real weird Cirque du Soleil style stuff.
They have 3 choices, man. They have Barnum and Bailey, they have Cirque du Soleil, and they have Zalgroxian for ballet opera.
Of course, they've got the third space option.
One.
That is the best one.
Yeah.
So right.
Well done, Jake. Way to remember the bit.
Right. You got to do 3.
We were watching 30 Rock the other night, and they made a Gunther Gebel-Williams joke, which was such a weird, funny reference that I was just like, people who watch this, anybody who's younger than us is going to have no context for who the fuck Gunther Gebel-Williams it was. Minh, do you remember do you know who Gunther Gebel-Williams was?
Yeah, no.
Nope. Does anybody else remember him? Or is it just,
I don't know.
No.
He was like the main guy in the Ringling Brothers circus for like, he was like the face of the Ringling Brothers circus for like decades. He would go on the Tonight Show with like a tiger, and Tina Fey makes a joke about how when she was a kid she had a poster of Gunther Gebel-Williams up on her wall. It was a funny joke, and I was just like, boy, that's not going to age well, and it didn't even age well for people who are my age, apparently.
Wasn't there a Barnum and Bailey movie with the Wolverine guy, Hugh Jackman?
The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. Did they not cover Gunther? Did they not cover Gunther?
Gunther Gebel-Williams was like in the 80s, like
not contemporaries.
Gotcha.
When do you think P.T. Barnum was alive?
It's 50s?
Earlier.
Oh, earlier? Oh, 30s?
Earlier.
Don't tell me earlier.
Movie entertainment.
I'm going to post a picture of Gunther Gebel-Williams in the chat. Maybe you guys will recognize him when you see the picture. Maybe you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy.
This guy preceded Roy and
he was the Siegfried and Roy of his day. Like
he looked like Siegfried.
Before Siegfried and Roy came along, Gunther Gebel-Williams was like the circus animal guy. Like,
oh yeah.
Did you guys ever go to Ringling Brothers when it came to your town as kids? Like,
I think I remember going to an actual circus where
we only ever got Circus Vargas in Indio.
Yeah,
I got one circus in my.
I went to Carson Barnes, the knockoff.
Carson Barnes.
Like,
is that the Do-si-do guy?
No.
We talked about when Patrick Stewart lost his hair, and Patrick Stewart, according to wearebald.com,
So your like search history is like
a website for the bald and aficionados.
Bald and beautiful. Yeah.
Talk about the bald and the beautiful. So he lost his hair between the ages of 19 and 20.
Oh my god!
He had lost his hair early. Somebody, and I didn't write down who, said that he had alopecia, and I said no, that's wrong. Alopecia is when all your hair falls out.
He's got natural eyebrows.
But I was wrong.
He does.
Alopecia, I was wrong. Alopecia is a generic word for any kind of hair loss.
Oh, okay. It doesn't have to be 100%.
Right. Okay. It's just that we in popular culture, we use alopecia as a word for, Ed Begley Jr. in Arrested Development or whatever.
Hairless.
But that's called alopecia universalis. When you use it.
Good name.
So alopecia just means any kind of hair loss, but
so
he had male pattern baldness.
I think they just knew how good his skull was gonna look. That nature was just get rid of that hair. Yeah. Just get.
Let's get to the good.
Show the beauty.
Yeah.
In his interview,
I mean, that frickin' skull is
it's iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's not American, but we should put it on our quarter. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
the back of his head.
Somebody, and I forget who,
illegal.
While we were having this conversation, somebody, and I forget who, described him as looking like George Washington fucked a bald.
Can't you place him next onto Mount Rushmore? I think he deserves it.
We talked about, I forget why we were talking about Napoleon, but we were.
Because we're civilized.
I made a reference to the Maginot. Oh, it's because Jake was playing who would win in a fight between Napoleon with an army of 1,000 Napoleon Dynamites or one Napoleon Dynamite with 100 Napoleons.
First. I think it's the first.
I made a joke about the Maginot Line because I don't know why, but the Maginot Line is from World War II. It was not Napoleonic, so I was correcting myself there. Napoleon didn't have anything to do with the line.
Bravo. Yeah. It takes a strong man to do that, man.
Stuff.
I was like, that's not correct.
Back to my opera.
Back to my Klingon opera, please. Oh, see, there's Ambassador Tomalak.
There he is, Tomalak.
Hey.
The one-armed man.
From a few weeks ago.
Sure.
That was not believable at all, but okay.
Well, I'm just not sold on him.
I can read her eyes, and she's not sure.
I'm not sure.
He doesn't remember. It's okay.
Sorry, Ambassador Tomalak. You seen one Romulan?
Yeah, the problem with Romulans and recognizability is they're not color coded the way Starfleet is.
Yeah.
You need.
I mean, they all have the exact same haircut and the exact same outfit, so it does.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And when you don't care, when you pepper that in.
When you pepper in not caring at all.
That little X factor.
Yeah.
That's the end of Corrections Corner, everybody.
Hey,
just FYI, Minh, P.T. Barnum died in 1891.
What? Wow.
He must have only lived for negative 70 years.
And then he was born again in 1902.
That's wild. I never would have gotten that in a million years. Yeah. Yet again, proof that you should not have me on your trivia.
You just started guessing.
It's gonna be a great game show, man. I can't wait.
Yeah. It would drive me loony just being on that and exposing my idiocy.
Do you remember me telling you guys that I had a explicit sex dream about one of you, but I wouldn't tell you?
Yeah, you never shared who.
Never shared.
I now have to confess that I have had a second sex dream about a different one of you.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. Pandemic is really hitting you hard, Matt.
And it was nasty.
Oh. Well, come on.
No, I'm not going to tell you who. I just want you guys to know.
God damn it!
What's going on? No, telling you who ruins it. I want you guys.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess you had a sex dream with Daddy there, with our bear Shawn, resident bear.
You can speculate all you want. I don't care. I'm not going to tell you.
I think it was Jake and then Minh.
Yeah, that sounds pretty.
He didn't say two people. He said another.
About a different person.
A different person.
It was a different one.
There have now been 2 sex dreams about.
That's exactly what he said.
Oh, that guy died. He killed himself.
He killed himself.
Or did he?
No, he did.
Oh, okay.
He's dead now.
That was going to be a Romulan thing.
That was a very good episode that we didn't really watch, but it's really.
we were adjacent to that.
What I like about this episode is that the whole time you think that Picard is getting played, and then it turns out that Picard's had this card in his back pocket all along that he's just been waiting to play. And it turns out that he was not being played at all. He knew they were up to no good right from the very beginning.
The guy got played. The Defector was the one who got played.
The Defector got played, but Picard was on top of it the whole time. Yep. Like, he was like, this is bullshit. I'm going to secretly call the Klingons and have them standing by. It was pretty good. It was a cool episode. Good episode.
Well done. Well done, Picard.
Well done, Picard.
We've been watching a lot of the Muppet Show around here lately because they just put the whole thing up on whatever service it's on, Disney Plus. And it's great, and I'd highly recommend it. This is not recommendation corner, but
it's on Disney Plus. I thought HBO had done a thing with Sesame.
That's not Sesame
Street is on HBO, but the Muppet Show, Disney owns the Muppets, so the Muppets are on HBO. But it made me start thinking about. First of all, it's great. Everybody should watch it. It's such a time capsule of the 70s. Like the guest stars that they have on are like, Sandy Duncan and, Rita Moreno and people like that. Really hilarious. But it got me thinking about what Muppets would we be? Like if we were the Muppets, which Muppets would we be? So I have my answers, but I just wondered if anybody else had like wanted to take a stab at which Muppet.
That's a good one. I don't know.
I think they could not be more obvious. But
really?
Yeah.
Who's Fozzie Bear?
I want to say Shawn is Fozzie Bear. No,
yeah.
Matt is Fozzie Bear.
Well, there aren't as many choices for if I'm sticking with my gender.
Mm-hmm. You only got one.
You don't have to stick with your gender.
I know, but I'm just saying representation matters. There's no
I think Erin would be Scooter.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Scooter?
No, that's completely wrong. No. Go ahead. I mean, go ahead. Make
whatever Muppet she is.
That's right off. I think it's so obvious who Scooter is.
Jake?
Yeah, Jake is the Scooter, obviously. Like,
sure, he runs the show.
Scooter's the like producer, right? Scooter is the hairy.
Are you saying that?
Sort of
Phillipe and
stressed out producer of everything.
Phillipe
is animal.
Miss Piggy of the show.
Yeah,
you could be Statler. I didn't have that for you, but yeah, you could be Statler or Waldorf. That would make sense, I guess.
You and Phillipe are the Statler and Waldorf of the crew.
I'll take it.
I didn't know their names ever.
Yeah, they wouldn't know their names.
I was just watching the Muppet Show the other day.
It's great. Everyone should watch it.
I watched the first one.
I'm gonna make my kids start watching it.
It's really entertaining. Like I think it's great.
It's weird for me. The Muppet Show and Sesame Street are just totally blended right now, and I cannot separate the two.
They have crossover.
Yeah. I mean, they're all Jim Henson.
Yeah.
But Sesame Street sort of lives in its own universe from the rest of the Muppets.
Yeah.
I mean, Kermit shows up on Sesame Street.
Yeah, he was the crossover.
Yeah. So who are you, Matt?
I had me as Kermit and Shawn as Fozzie and Erin as Miss Piggy and Jake as Scooter, and Minh as Gonzo, and May as Janice, and Phillipe as the guy who throws the boomerang fish that is whose name I can't remember right now, but
the Italian guy, fish throwing guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take it.
If I'm Scooter, I think I should be Beaker too, like a hybrid.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't know how much I like being called the guy who all he does is tell bad jokes.
I think of you more as the Swedish chef. So
I just think of it. I just think of Kirk and Fozzie as like a duo, and you and I are sort of a duo, and you're in that duo. You're more of a Fozzie than I am,
right?
But,
that is true.
I like how you just said like Kirk and Fozzie.
Yeah, Kirk and Fozzie.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's an interesting crossover. Fozzie has like a comfort to him, and you're comfortable, Shawn.
Thank you. And a bear, apparently.
And lovable. You know, Fozzie is incredibly lovable.
Of course. Who doesn't love Fozzie?
Just say it once. Come on, waka waka.
Waka waka waka.
So,
you know who's really a Fozzie is Jordan. Jordan loves to tell like bad jokes and try to get people to laugh. Like Jordan's got a real Fozzie energy to him.
Yeah.
He's not as lovable as our daddy, though.
But I was sticking it to just us on the show. I wasn't going outside.
I think those
the
are
larger
all very solid. I don't have a better on any of them.
And nobody's Elmo? Thank God.
It's not on the Muppet Show. Elmo's the Sesame Street.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to separate.
I get a mix. I mean, I know him, but then I have to consciously think about to separate.
I would like to think I was
want to be Moki from Fraggle Rock. Is that okay? Put a change request in.
Yeah. David Bowie.
Dr. Teeth. I would take that. Yeah, for sure. That works. He's mellow. He's a pot smoker. You know, Dr. Teeth's just cool.
I feel like Phillipe has a little animal in him.
I think so.
Any sort of chaos agent, like animal or the fish throwing guy. You know.
I want to be somebody from Labyrinth.
But isn't Minh as Gonzo like perfect casting? That was the one I thought was the most dead on. Like
he would be the person that would shoot himself out of a cannon of all of us.
Yeah.
For rating.
Yeah, it's just like endearingly weird, you know.
And maybe is in a semi-sexual relationship with a chicken. Like it's kind of
I mean, that goes without saying. And I don't think there's any semi about it. I mean, it's a full-on sexual relationship.
I mean, be honest. You wouldn't be that surprised if you heard Minh was dating a chicken. You know?
I would be the least surprised of any of the rest of us. I would say that for sure.
Well, thanks, guys. I'm glad I can make an announcement right now. Then
I mean, it's fine. You know, Minh, that chicken loves him back. Like she loves Gonzo.
Yep.
Yeah,
she gets very jealous of him whenever he shows interest in any other chickens.
Yeah.
Yikes.
What was that movie, that David Lynch movie we were watching with the monkey?
Oh, the thing on Netflix where he's interrogating.
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. I need to watch that again.
I know.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it's nice and bizarre. I think that's
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the Minh and the chicken, Gonzo chicken would be a very David Lynch version of Jim Henson situation somehow. There'd be lots of strong shadows and just like interesting conversations that don't make sense. And
what I want to watch is your version of me, Gonzo chicken, not David Lynch's. I think that'd be cool, but I think the Phillipe version would be...
Yeah. Man, I'm going to actually need you to have sex with this chicken. I'm not going to show it, but I want the reactions on the face to be real. So
we're going to film it like in that Werner Herzog movie about the bear killing the guy.
Yeah.
And we're not going to show the footage of fucking the chicken. We're going to show the footage of Phillipe.
We're going to show school children reacting to the footage.
Shawn, you're a big
banned
fan
in
of
5 countries.
Yeah. That's right. You can't hear this show in North Korea, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, we can only show this on the one stage they have in Antarctica because there's no
yeah, international waters.
Yeah, exactly. You have to be on this oil derrick.
Hey, Phillipe.
Yes.
It's been so long. I've been wanting to talk to you about this for so long, and it's been
Can you get a divorce on a podcast?
No.
Oh, here we go again.
For some reason, I've been wanting to talk to you about this for the longest time. I forget why, but I think it started as a correction corner. But do you know what reventropy is? Do you know what that word means?
Oh my God, I don't know what that
Something about ravens and entropy.
Wow.
There's this guy who has this philosophy that smaller human beings are better because you consume fewer resources and you live longer. So reventropy is like the study of how to make people smaller.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
And I forget why, but we were talking about something like this, and I was like, the next time I talk to Phillipe, I'm going to bring this up. It's been on my list of things to talk about for months and months, maybe a year or more. I've just been waiting for the chance to talk to you about. If you Google reventropy, you are going to get some links to some funny articles about what's good about being shorter. You know,
that's awesome.
That's interesting because generally it's been associated with like lack of nutrition. Like,
yeah.
No, I'm serious. Like, if you study like places that
the modern lens is like now.
If you go to human,
that's a lack of thriving. So now it's like,
yeah, now that guy's like that guy's carbon footprint is smaller. He didn't eat so much. I like
apparently, shorter people live longer. If you make it to a certain age, you know, if you don't die of something else first, but
shortness before that, yeah.
If you go to
stomped on by a giant.
humanbodysize.com to learn all about it if you want to learn.
I love these websites you're unearthing, Matt.
I've heard that they make better soldiers in general because they're just smaller targets, so that smaller soldiers tend to do better, and they also can like hike longer miles because they don't wear themselves out as much. So
he also has these kind of like quasi eugenics kind of ideas where he's like shorter people should breed so that we'll make more short people.
I feel like he might be like trying to like do some crazy
how tall is this guy?
generational Tinder strategy for his like future kids, because they're like, well, you guys are all 5'1".
You're on the 5th percentile.
Yeah, we need to like, you guys are not going to get swiped right unless we do something on a global level to get you into the median of male height and.
But I'm intrigued by this idea of like increased consumption and like.
There's a whole green sort of environmental like aspect to it too, where he's like, resources are dwindling, so people are going to have to be able to get by with less, and you know, there's a whole that aspect to it as well.
Aren't like blue whales some of the longest living creatures in the world?
Yes,
like these big animals, right?
Well, I don't think size has a direct correlation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe size does have a direct correlation, but I mean, it's an interesting philosophy. But I think all of that would pale in comparison to just having less people. It's just like,
and it doesn't mean like a big person can't like reduce their carbon footprint. By eating different things and
like little, they could eat the little people probably.
I'm not advocating this. I just thought it was funny.
That's like
I like it. I like this
passion.
You sparked a debate here, Matt.
I
mean, it's fascinating how weird.
I love it. And like the name is really.
Yeah, where did they come up with the name?
I don't know. I'd have to do more research than I'm really willing to do at this.
And obviously, Phillipe is on the Thanos side of things. He's like, snap him away.
No, I'm the neutral party, but I like to take things to their, let's take it to the logical conclusion. And let's see what happens. Let's see.
You like thought experiments.
I like thought experiments. I like to know where this is all going to lead.
Interesting.
Have you guys been watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yes.
Yes.
Shawn's been watching everything.
That show is kind of doing an interesting thing of exploring the whole, like, half of the people on Earth vanished for 5 years and now they're suddenly all back. And what does that do to, like, resource distribution? And, like, it's just been kind of it's only 2 episodes in so far, but it's been kind of surprisingly.
It's been cool the way they've dealt with that.
Yeah. It's
what more like all the relationships that moved on and people.
It's not cheating,
right?
Exactly.
It's not cheating if they were Thanos away for 5 years. Right?
Yeah.
What if
you weren't in the same zip code?
Yeah. What if you got rid of what if you got rid of kids that you didn't really care for that much and you already grieved?
All of a sudden they show up again.
They're back.
You guys were recording this, so
I'm just curious. This thought experiment.
It's just thought
experiment.
Yeah,
man.
Kids, I love you guys. I'm glad I had you.
My 15-year-old bedwetter is back. Yeah. I'd already cried.
I think we're done, you guys.
Yeah. Wrap it up.
Yep.
Thanks very much for listening. Oh, do you guys want a quick only connect before we go? Should we do one quick only connect?
Sure.
Yes. That'd be fun.
Your first clue is ground force.
Ways things can fly. Types of forces. I don't know. Ground force. I don't know. No.
Wheel measurements.
No.
Friction.
I'll give you another clue. Your second clue is executive.
Executive ground force.
Types of.
What did you say, Shawn?
Types of bathrooms.
No.
Types of dumps.
Your third clue. Your third clue is marine.
Ooh.
Color.
Marine
life.
Man.
I thought you guys would get this one.
Man, I'm thinking
you think too highly of us.
Yeah, I'm going to try to think ground force.
G.I. Joe levels.
No.
Ground.
You want one more clue? Last clue?
One more clue.
Last clue is Air Force.
Oh. Branches of the service, but what about them? Ground
What
Force,
about
Executive, Marine, Air Force.
Why does executive completely ruin my brain? That was the one I have to figure out.
All right, you want the answer?
Are they all branches?
No. It has to do with the president.
Huh.
Oh, those are those are the names of his cars or his
vehicles.
Ground Force 1, Executive 1, Marine 1, Air Force 1.
That's it. It's what they call vehicles when
that
he's
drive him around.
So Ground Force 1 is any automobile that he's in. It's called Ground Force 1. Executive 1 is when he's on a plane that isn't a military plane. So if he rides like a private jet or something like that, any plane that isn't a military plane.
Anytime he was on a plane, it was called Air Force 1.
No, if it's a private plane that isn't a military, like a government plane, they call it Executive 1. Marine 1 is any marine unit, any marine, any boat or the helicopter.
Submarine.
A Navy, which is a Marine helicopter. And then Air Force 1 is any military plane.
I want to imagine that Executive is any elevator or escalator that he's on.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had a different name for when he's on a plane that isn't a military plane.
Yeah. It must not happen very much because you only hear about it.
What if Minh is giving him a piggyback
ride? TikTok one.
They call that Chinese one.
Yikes.
Well, on that fizzle of a note. Thanks for listening to Warped, the completely unnecessary Star Trek podcast. You can go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts to rate, review, and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at Warped the Podcast, and our merchandise is on Instagram at lunar_flare. You can email us at warpedthepodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter at Warped Trek. You can follow me on Twitter at Host Warped. You can follow Minh to learn about our Dungeons and Dragons and Call of Cthulhu podcasts and live streams at Wet Maynard. And most importantly, you can go to patreon.com/warp to become a patron and get access to additional episodes and bonus content. Thank you all very much for listening. Until next week, my name is Matt.
I'm Shawn.
I'm Jake.
Erin.
Minh.
Mine.
And Phillipe.
Yay!
Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Nice. That felt more whole. That felt like a whole meal there. Appetizer and
old school
dessert.
Warped right there.
I miss having Phillipe on the podcast.
Thanks, guys. I felt good doing it. It felt